Am I the a-hole for telling my mom and siblings they should learn to live with the consequences of their decisions? So my family is my dad, mom, my 2 sisters, and my 2 brothers. I'm 17 male, the oldest. My dad was estranged from his dad since he was my age. His mom died when he was 10, so we never knew grandma either. My dad was open about the fact grandpa wasn't a very nice man and all kinds of stuff, but he never went into details. I know he really did a number on dad because I still sometimes see dad look ashamed if he spills something or makes a mistake. I also know he tries to hold back anytime he cries and looks downright disgusted with himself for crying. 3 years ago, his dad reached out and my mom and my sister, 15, were so excited and basically welcomed him into the family. Dad said no way. He and mom fought a lot about it. My siblings all told dad they had a right to know our grandfather and he should love his dad. I was dragged along at first, but I stopped going. Dad has refused to have any part in it, and he and mom fought because he told her his father was never going to step foot inside our house, and if he did, dad would leave and he would never come back. So mom takes my siblings to see him. Christmas was a huge freaking fight last year because they decided to spend it with this dude, and my dad refused to go, and so did I. My siblings started crying in dad's face that they wanted Christmas with him. Mom was calling him selfish. She tried to do the whole, I'm your mother and you listen to me, and dad told her he's my father and I could stay with him if I wanted to. They're still sour about it, but then dad took me out for his birthday and we didn't come home until late because he found out they were planning to take him out to meet with his father. My dad told my mom and my siblings that since he cannot trust them with his birthday, he will only celebrate with the people he can trust now. I also heard him tell mom this couldn't continue and they needed to divorce. Now my mom is freaking out because she doesn't want the divorce and my siblings are really upset. They told me I should help since dad and I are still close. I told them they should learn to live with the consequences of their decisions. I pointed out to mom she was always big on us learning. I told them this is a big one. My mom told me my siblings are so young and don't deserve this. I told her it's all her fault because she undermined dad by making a point to demand he come in front of my siblings, and so they think they can manipulate him and not listen. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, and I can absolutely see this from your father's point of view. My relationship with my father is similar to your father's relationship with your grandfather, and if someone tried to trick me into seeing my father or went around me to mend that fence, I'd be absolutely livid. He was also mad she helped my siblings have a relationship with the guy. I can see he worries every time they go to see the guy. I totally get it. I was in therapy for years to come to terms with my father, his actions, etc. I wish my dad got help when he was younger because I can see the strain it had on him and I hate it. My dad's the best and he loves us so much. It kills me to see this happen. Do you think your dad would be open to individual therapy now? He's most likely reliving a lot of his trauma because of this situation. It could help him immensely. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole at all. My dad was open about the fact grandpa wasn't a very nice man and all kinds of stuff, but he never went into details. I know he really did a number on dad because I still sometimes see dad look ashamed if he spills something or makes a mistake. I also know he tries to hold back anytime he cries and looks downright disgusted with himself for crying. So this man literally abused your father. Then your mom and sister thought it would be wonderful if they reconnected. And your father shared this sensitive and personal information with her because he thought he could trust her? Why is your mom mad at him? You're absolutely right, my guy. She did this to herself and her family. She thinks because he's way older now and a grandparent. She said the worst parents can make the best grandparents and all that other crap. There's no guarantee that his abusive traits as a father won't carry over or influence how he would interact with your father, or indeed your siblings in the present. And your father clearly still feels the trauma. Your siblings do have a right to a relationship with this man, but they're doing so in a way that tramples over your father's boundaries, especially since they expect him to love their grandfather, and your mother is pushing for a Hallmark movie, feel-good reconciliation. Unless your mother changes course, the marriage is headed straight for divorce town, and she is going to risk losing you for it just because you have empathy for your father. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom that her remarrying made me prefer my father as a parent to her, and it's her fault we aren't as close? When I, 23 female, was 5, my parents divorced. It was very hard on me. My mother remarried 2 years later to my stepfather, Dan. Dan has one daughter, Delilah, 22. My stepfather and stepsister are both okay. I don't have any real problems with them, though I've just never felt close to them. They just don't feel like family. And I've always wished my parents had stayed together. As a kid, I always had Thanksgivings with Dad and Christmas with Mom. My dad burned the turkey the first year we had Thanksgiving together, and we went and got Chinese food. Ever since then, we've always gotten Chinese food for the holidays. I love the holidays with my dad because it's just me and him spending time together. Ever since the divorce, my dad has never dated or remarried. He's always said that I'll always be his #1 priority, and maybe he'll meet someone when I go off and get married. He spends a lot of time working too. My boyfriend has jokingly compared my dad to Charlie from Twilight, and it's awkwardly dead on. When my mom got married, I felt like I became her last priority. She always placed her new husband first, and we never spent time together one-on-one. As an adult, I've just spent all the holidays with my dad. He'd be alone without me anyway. My mom really wants me to come to Thanksgiving this year. She said she's sad because she feels like I'm way closer to my dad, which I am. I told her I'm closer to Dad because he's always placed me first, which she never has. She was upset and said she had a right to move on and find love and be happy. I told her she's right, she did have that right, but Dad didn't feel the same way, and that's why I have a better relationship with him. I told her I never got to just see my mom. It always had to be her and Dan and Delilah. She chose to make them her family, and I never had a choice in the matter and never felt like my feelings mattered. I see my mother a few times a year, whereas I see Dad at least once a week. My social media is filled with pictures of us going out and doing stuff, whereas I don't have any pictures or posts of my mother up. She said this hurts her feelings too, and apparently, our extended family and my grandma have commented on it. Am I the a-hole? I've always wished my parents stayed together. This seems like unresolved trauma relating to the divorce versus your mother doing anything wrong. Do you know why they divorced? Was your mother your primary caregiver, or did they split custody 50-50? They divorced because they just wanted different things and wanted to live different lifestyles. My mom is a lot more outgoing. She likes going to concerts, going on vacations, etc. My dad likes to watch TV and hang out at home more. They had split custody. Not the a-hole. You've let her know. She could plan some one-on-one time now, but I bet she won't. I sincerely doubt she will either. She wants to complain, but I don't think she's willing to put in the work to make things better. Were her feelings hurt before your grandma commented on it, or did she only notice it was a problem when someone else said something? She's been complaining for years that I've preferred my father over her. I guess until now I've never really explained in depth why. One day, with no words, each parent gets the scorecard. No grades, just love. Your mom hasn't been able to read the scorecard because she cannot accept the failing grade. Time will tell if her emotional investment was or is worth. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad I never wanted his wife at my appointments, and I tolerated it because I had no choice? My parents got divorced 5 years ago, and my dad got remarried 2 years ago. I, 16 female, think his wife is fine, but it's not like she's my mom or my favorite person, and I don't see us getting any closer over the years, because she can be a bit much at times. I have a medical condition that requires checkups every 6 months, and sometimes I need tests if something's off, and a change in treatment if it's needed. When my dad first got remarried, he insisted his wife should be there as well. Mom didn't want her there, and they fought over it. I told Dad I didn't want her there either, but he claimed I was parroting my mom and that I loved and needed his wife there. He told me it was okay and he'd make sure she was there. And when I went to tell him again, he cut me off and said it was fine and he'd handle it. She's been to every appointment since, and whenever I'm asked if I want to speak to the doctor without my parents there, I ask for it to be just me and Mom. My dad was confused about why, and his wife cried the first time and gets all mopey the other times. Dad has asked me why I wanted just Mom there, but he never let me answer. The other day, my parents were fighting about Dad's wife attending these appointments, and Dad said his wife was important and she deserved to be there. My mom told Dad his wife was nothing and had no business going anywhere near the appointments. Dad told Mom he would take her parenting time away if he could for that attitude, and he was angry the whole way back to his house. I told him I wouldn't let him take me away from Mom, and he said he was mad that she was denying my and his wife's connection and the fact I wanted her there. That's when I snapped and told him I never wanted her there. I told him that back then, and I tolerate her being there. I said she's not important to me. She's not needed, that she's more like a big baby when she cries or mopes after I ask to have the two of them leave the room. And I told him I do that because she's there, and I never wanted her intruding like that. My dad was literally stunned into silence for a day and a half, and when he talked to me, he told me the things I said were cruel and unfair to his wife, who did nothing to me. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. You're not the a-hole. Your boundaries are valid, and your dad should have respected them. The dad should have cared more about his child's comfort than his wife's inclusion. Period. If you're putting your partner's feelings above your kid's needs, you've failed the assignment. He is a parent before being a boyfriend to other. Exactly. It's wild how some parents forget that their first job is being a parent, not a partner. Your kid's comfort should never be negotiable like that. Tell your dad to stop acting like a 5-year-old and grow up. This random stranger he chose to marry is not entitled to your medical information, and her, an adult woman, crying about it is baffling. If you are in the US, once you turn 18, make sure your health records are changed to only allow who you authorize to have access, and a HIPAA authorization form. Also get a durable power of attorney and medical power of attorney, and make sure your healthcare providers have a copy of the latter. In some places it's 16 and others it's 14. It doesn't matter if you're the parent. I know this because when we moved from Texas to Kentucky, my daughter had to sign the forms to get her med history transferred herself, and she was still a minor, under 18. Ask your dad to let you accompany his wife to her next gynecologist appointment, and that you would like to be there when she discusses her medical issues with the doctor. This is what they are both expecting from you. Not the a-hole. His wife is not related to you and has no business attending your medical appointments. Your dad is strange trying to force this form of bonding. Is it because his wife is unable to have kids and she wants some form of parenting experience? Better still, tell him you want to assist to his next colonoscopy or urologist/proctologist appointment. You want to be there right besides the doctor during all of the visit. I hate when step-parents barge into their step-children's lives. Not the a-hole. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my business class seat to my wife on our international flight? My wife, 32 female, and I, 34 male, recently took an international trip to visit her family. We travel a lot for work and have built up a lot of frequent flyer miles and airline status. When we booked the tickets, we both got economy seats since that's what fit our budget. 2 weeks before the flight, my wife and I were sent an email from the airline telling us we were eligible for an upgrade using our miles. I informed my wife about this and asked her if it was okay to upgrade our tickets. She said that was fine and to go ahead and upgrade my ticket. Because we have separate accounts with the airline, she would have to upgrade her own ticket and I would have to upgrade mine separately. I offered to log into her account and upgrade her ticket when I upgraded mine, but she said that she would do it on her own. The week leading up to the flight, I had been reminding her to upgrade her ticket, but when the time came to go to the airport, she had not upgraded her ticket. When we got to the airport, I offered to switch tickets with her, but she declined. I went to the business class check-in while she went to the economy one. She seemed too distracted with checking in to be bothered with the ticket situation, but when we boarded the plane and I was heading toward business class, she was confused and asked me why I had not downgraded my ticket in order to sit with her. I explained to her that I was not aware that she wanted me to sit with her, and she turned away and stormed off to her seat. Landed, she was snippy with me and made an effort not to talk with me. The whole trip she made little comments about my ticket and refused to talk about it when I asked to. I sat next to her on the flight back, and she didn't say anything about it and seemed to be less aggravated. Now that we're back, she keeps bringing it up in passive-aggressive ways, saying things like, "Must have been nice to have all that extra room while your wife was cramped in the back." I brought this up with some of my friends. Some think I was in the right, but others say I should have given up my ticket. Am I the a-hole for not giving up my seat? Edit. There was no way I could have upgraded her ticket for her. I don't know her login information, and she kept brushing me off. We've only been married for a year. Not the a-hole. You offered to upgrade it for her. She declined. You reminded her to upgrade before the trip. She declined. You offered to switch tickets with her. She declined. Do you see the pattern here? Also, did she ever once mention the idea of downgrading your ticket, if that is even possible? And even if you had, there would have been no guarantee that you'd sit together, since you checked in at different counters, with different attendants, etc. Your wife is being 100% unreasonable. She brought this on herself, and has nobody to blame but herself. Yeah, sounds like she was making up excuses just to have a way to guilt trip and emotionally manipulate OP later. Super weird behavior. Not the a-hole at all. Good news. Not the a-hole. Bad news? You married an idiot. I hope she has some good qualities, because she is. Chaotic if she doesn't have her tasks organized. Unreliable and adding to your mental load if you can't trust her to do simple tasks and also need to remind her. Can't ask for help while clearly she was overwhelmed, or is she just that careless? Can't communicate in a healthy way about her feelings, or even if she needs space. Is not willing to take responsibility and admit her mistakes. Not the a-hole. Are snippy remarks and silent treatment typical of her behavior or out of character? Could there be another issue? Have you spoken with her since about her behavior? This reeks of social media relationship test to me. Deliberately skip out on doing the upgrade, then see if your partner volunteers to give up their perk to sit next to you. Am I the a-hole for bringing up my parents' favoritism of my brother after they said they needed my help and I refused? I 17 male, have one older brother, Sam, 19 male, and he was always our parents' favorite. I'm not the only person who knows or acknowledges this either. Sam does, so do both maternal and paternal grandparents, my maternal aunt, and all our cousins. For our cousins, it was a running gag that if my parents were ever broke, they'd sell me to keep spoiling Sam. A lot of what I'll mention involves money, and I wanted to give everyone a heads up now. But it won't be all I talk about. And this won't be able to cover everything, because there are 17 years of proof, LOL. So when I say my parents favor Sam, and that's just the way it is, I mean it's obvious in so many ways. They're more considerate with buying him birthday and Christmas gifts. They know what he wants, and they make sure to get him the biggest item every time, and then they make sure extended family and family friends know what else he wants. They've asked grandparents to get him extra video games when our parents bought him a console. Or they'll ask them to complete the set of team jerseys they know my brother wants. I know this because it was argued about in front of me once or twice. But when it comes to gifts for my birthday and Christmas, I get pretty generic stuff. Sometimes I get something trending, but I always get clothes, shoes, and hygiene sets. Even when I have a list of stuff I'd like, it still happens, and I don't think I ever got something I actually wanted from my parents. It was always others who got me wish-listed items. I remember being like 7 or 8, and I really wanted this Pokemon set. I had asked for it for my birthday and Christmas, and got it neither time. Then my grandparents realized I wanted it, and got it for me after. And my parents confiscated it and told them to keep it until my next birthday. That same year, Sam got his own custom-built PC from our parents. Other times when we're out and he wants something, they have no issue buying it for him. But it doesn't typically happen for me. The exception was when I saw shirts I wanted. My parents got those for me because they said I needed new clothes anyway. Stuff like that has happened a few times by now. Sam was always in football. My parents signed him up when he was 4 because he loved watching it and playing it with Dad. They spent so much money and even signed him up in different places when he didn't like somewhere. But I didn't have an extracurricular until I was 11. When I was in elementary school, my class was taken to play hockey, and I loved it. I asked my parents if I could play, and they said no. Even when they were told I was good and they should consider it, they were unwilling to. It was only when my maternal grandparents offered to pay for it that they said yes, and then they took it over after a year and said it was because I stayed on the team and didn't quit, since they wouldn't waste the money. Yet they never minded Sam quitting teams frequently, and they even drove 2 hours away to get him to football practice because he didn't like the 2 local teams. Something else that has always bothered me is they make a point of saying we always need to support each other and show up for family. We go to all Sam's games, and we even showed up to cheer him on at pre-game practices and anytime they had a special event at practices. I always had to be there. But it wasn't as strictly followed with me, and sometimes they would lose all enthusiasm for supporting me. Like one time a couple of years ago, they asked him about a game and he told them he didn't have one. They were like, "Okay, then I guess we have no plans." And I told them I had a game. They were like, "Oh, sorry, we didn't realize." Then Sam jumped in and said he wouldn't be there because he had plans with friends. They said it was fine and I didn't need everyone there, but I was never allowed to say that. All that built up to a few weeks ago when my parents told me they needed my help getting the house all fixed up because they're selling. This was the first time I heard about it, and they were like, "Oh, we told Sam." That really bothered me because I still live here and Sam doesn't. They said we needed to fix up stuff before the house can go on the market, and I said I didn't care, and they needed to ask Sam. They were like, "What?" And I said they should ask their favorite. You know, the one they told and the one they always treat better. I brought up the stuff I mentioned here and lots of other things. My parents got mad and said I was overreacting and I still needed to help. I told them to get Sam's help since he's the one they keep in the loop and prefer. My parents were mad and talked to my grandparents, and then got mad at them. Then Mom talked to my aunt and that anger worsened because they all agreed with me. But my parents were like, I didn't get to throw that in their face like that, and I don't get to refuse to help. Then we got into a fight and they're still mad at me. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Parents who play favorites deserve what they get when the children they neglect turn their backs on them. Stand your ground. I'm sorry, and I hope you have a great life. Thanks. I'll do my best to make sure my life only gets better after here. Info. Is your brother in college with parents paying for it? If yes, then ask them if they are giving you a full ride like Sam. If they make excuses, consider leaving and go live with a relative. Typically, someone like Sam ends up being a bit of a deadbeat due to the overindulgence by the parents. Do your best in school, go to a great college, and have a rewarding career. As an adult, keep your finances to yourself, including any savings you have for a major purchase. Otherwise, they'll come knocking and ask you to help Sam out, which you'll refuse. Just remember OP, there's your blood family and then there's your soul family, those that love and nurture you. Surround yourself with your soul family, which can include blood. Not the a-hole. I'd spend as little time as possible at home and more time with your friends and extended family. Yeah, he's in college that they're paying for. They give him extra to spend every week too. But none of that is planned for me. I know because they told him when he was 16 and they met with his guidance counselor to discuss it a year before he graduated. They have not done that with me. My grandparents will let me live with them when I'm 18, but not before then. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister her boundary will destroy her relationship with her nephew? Original post. I, 30 female, recently got married and had a baby. My sister, 24, does not like my husband and will not tell me why. When I first brought him home to introduce everyone, she was a bit standoffish. But in general, she doesn't really like people, has very few friends, never brings anyone home to meet the family, and has never wanted to spend time with anyone I brought home. Before my husband and I got married, I asked her if she had any issues with him. She said no, and that he seemed nice. I asked her to be my maid of honor and thought all was well. Fast forward to last week, my husband went to drop off something at the family home. My sister lives with my parents and came back looking shaken. I asked him what happened, and he said he knocked, went into the kitchen, and my sister told him my parents weren't home. He said he tried to give her the stuff I had asked him to drop off, and she told him to put it in the garage. It was food, even though they were in the kitchen. He said as he was picking the stuff back up to go, he tried making small talk, commenting about the weather, and she snapped at him saying, "Don't freaking talk to me," and stormed out of the room. My husband has never given me a reason to worry about him being inappropriate or anything, but that was where my mind first went. We lived near them, and he had been gone for less than 5 minutes. I called my sister to ask what happened, and she hung up on me. I messaged her and she ignored me until this morning when I bombarded her phone with messages because I wanted to resolve whatever was going on. She finally replied and basically said she hates him, has always hated him, and her only boundary is that he never talks to her. In the 7 years we have been together, they've spoken maybe 5 times, and that was mostly him greeting her. I asked her why, and she said she doesn't need a reason. She just doesn't like him and doesn't want him around. I asked her point blank if he had done or said something to make her feel like that, and she said he didn't do anything and that she doesn't need a reason to feel how she does. Now my family's very close. My other sibling, brother 29, and I sometimes dropped by unannounced to help my mom cook dinner or just hang out. My parents encourage this, as they say they like having us around. I told her it's going to be weird if he can't even just greet her when we come over. She said she was sick of me having a stranger in her home. I told her I didn't realize she felt that way about him and said I wouldn't ask him to drop stuff off without me being around anymore. Mind you, she's had 7 years to get to know him, and I didn't realize she still considered him a stranger. She then said that was not the point, that she didn't want him talking to her at all, and that was the boundary she wanted respected. I told her I would tell him and try to keep them apart, but that would mean her time with my son, her 6-month-old nephew, would be affected because my husband will not be comfortable with our son being around someone who hates him. Frankly, I'm now uncomfortable with it too, because I don't know what ideas she will try to put in his head. It's also going to affect my parents' time with him, because if my husband can't bring him around, it's going to affect the number of times he goes over there. I didn't tell her, but that hurts my heart because they absolutely adore my son. He's their first and only grandchild so far, and they love spending time with him, always telling us to bring him over. She said I was playing the victim, painting her as a bitch, and trying to trample the only boundaries she has set for herself. I'm currently thoroughly lost and trying to figure out the best way forward. Am I the a-hole here? And is there any way I can fix this situation? Edit. I never expected so many replies in such a short time, but I appreciate the responses. To clarify a few things and answer some questions. 1. I've mentioned it to my parents and they're aware of what happened. My mom said she'll sit my sister down for a conversation, but from what I hear, my sister keeps making excuses to avoid it. Busy, tired, wanting more time, etc. My dad says not to worry about it and that it will blow over. My dad had a heart attack recently and is currently recovering, so I don't want to push it with them right now and stress him out. I left it at that with him and changed the subject. 2. My partner is amazing and has never given me reason to worry about him being around any females. I admit I was worried he had done something when he told me how she responded, because I can't wrap my brain around why she would blow up over just small talk. But she herself said he didn't do anything. 3. I know my brother has had partners, but he hasn't brought any home. I myself didn't bring anyone home until I was serious about them and thought there might be a future. Brought home a grand total of 2 guys, my current partner and my ex from college. Regarding her mental health, she has always had a bad temper and has snapped at me many times with no apology, even when she realized later she was wrong, like accused me of taking her shoes, which she had actually just left in the vehicle. There has never been anything on this level before. Now for the top comments before reading the mini update. This is very weird. You should speak with your mom and brother to see if your sister has disclosed a reason or if she has otherwise been paranoid. It reads like jealousy to me, to be honest. Maybe she feels he's taking her away from the family, but if he's done nothing to her and she won't give a reason, if I were OP, I'd go low or no contact with the sister. Family events, baby showers, parties, etc. Everyone would be invited except for her. You don't want to talk to my husband and we can't resolve this? Fine, lol, you're on your own. I don't entertain childishness like this. This is what I do. Invite the family for Thanksgiving and Christmas, except for the sister, since she wants nothing to do with the husband. Oh well, it is what she wants. That's right, her boundary is unreasonable. Hating a family member for no reason is just too selfish. It's also not a boundary. If you behave toward me in a way that I find uncomfortable, I will end the interaction, is a boundary. Don't talk to me under any circumstances. It's just being controlling, and for apparently no reason beyond vibes. Now for the mini update. I'm blown away by the number of responses. I'm trying to read them all, but replying to everyone is a bit difficult due to the volume. I appreciate all the responses though. It gives me perspective. To clarify, the only reason I considered my husband might have done something is because I'm in healthcare, in an environment where all sides of all stories have to be looked at. My first instinct was that she was being out of line for no reason, but I always try to look at both sides, and was trying to figure out why she said what she did. Both he and she said that he didn't do anything, and I'm going with that. Growing up, my brother was the golden child. My dad only wanted a son, and kept talking about his son and his legacy. My dad has evolved over the years. He doesn't do that anymore and makes all his children a priority now. The dad I had when I was 10 is a different man than the one I have now. My sister was my mom's favorite. She would always say that to us. I never wanted to be the calm princess my mom wanted. I wanted to make my dad happy, be as boy-like as possible, and refuse to wear the dresses, etc. she wanted me to. That relationship has also evolved. My mom and I are on much better terms now than when I was a kid. I was the oddball, and my siblings and I weren't really close until everyone was past 14 or 15. Then we started finding shared interests, etc. My husband was beyond happy to marry into my family. My parents treat him like their own son, and he has said many times they feel more like family than his own family. He has 3 brothers, but he's the youngest by 10 years and felt left out a lot. He once told me he was excited to have a sister-in-law, as he has none of his own and isn't close with his brothers. So this whole thing has him down, and I feel horrible for even considering he had done anything inappropriate when I knew deep down he hadn't. I was just trying to figure out what was going on. My sister told my dad she will sit down with us to talk about it this afternoon when I get off work, so I'm waiting to hear what she says in his presence. I will update again after we talk. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my sister move into my apartment temporarily after she got evicted, even though I have the space? This just happened a few days ago, and my family's blowing up my phone. I, 29 female, live alone in a 2-bedroom apartment that I worked years to finally afford. It's not huge, but it's mine. I keep the 2nd bedroom as a home office or guest room. My sister, 26 female, has always been kind of reckless with money. Nice cars she can't afford, shopping sprees, skipping rent to go on vacations. For years, my parents bailed her out, but now they're retired and can't anymore. Last week, she got evicted because she hadn't paid rent in months. She called me crying, saying she just needs a place to crash until she gets back on her feet. But here's the thing, this isn't the first time. 3 years ago, I let her live with me after a breakup. She promised it would only be for a few weeks. It turned into 11 months of chaos. She never helped with bills, left the place a mess, brought random people over, and when I finally asked her to leave, she called me heartless and didn't speak to me for almost a year. So this time, I said no, calmly but firmly. I told her I can't risk going through that again. I offered to help her look for cheaper apartments, even said I'd help with first month's groceries if she could find a room to rent. But she blew up at me, said I was choosing money over family, and that she's pregnant, something I didn't even know until that phone call. Now my parents are furious. They say I'm letting my sister become homeless while expecting a baby, and that family comes first. My mom even said, "You have 2 bedrooms, you're being selfish keeping one empty." But that empty room is literally where I work full-time. I feel guilty. I don't want my sister living on the street, but I also know from experience that if she moves in, she won't leave. And now that a baby is in the mix, I'll basically be a stand-in parent with no end date. So, am I the a-hole for refusing to let my pregnant sister move in with me after she got evicted? You already gave her a chance before, and she burned that bridge by taking advantage of you. Setting boundaries doesn't mean you don't care. It just means you refuse to let someone destroy your stability. Helping her find other resources is more than enough, not the a-hole. Exactly this. Last time I let her move in, it nearly broke me, financially and emotionally. I don't think people understand how draining it is to have someone in your home who doesn't respect your space or boundaries. Saying no this time isn't me abandoning her, it's me protecting myself from going through the same nightmare again. I've already offered to help her find other options, but I can't be her safety net anymore. Your parents are trying to guilt you into fixing a problem they can't fix anymore. It's not your responsibility to parent your sister or her baby. You worked hard for your place, and you deserve peace in it. Don't sacrifice that because she refuses to change. Yes, this is exactly how it feels. My parents keep framing it like I'm turning my back on a family. But really, they just don't want to deal with the fallout themselves anymore. I put in years of work to get my own space and stability, and I won't throw that away because my sister refuses to make different choices. It's exhausting always being the one expected to clean up her mess.